baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my
Dark Souls 2.
Welcome, one and all, to the party capital of Drangleic. We've got power dancing, that place from Elden Ring, that other place from Elden Ring, Bloods and Crips, Stone Sword Keys, Melania, also Melania, and the hottest fashion this side of Balenciaga. But of course, the real question is... can you beat Dark Souls 2
normally?
Haha, yes Baron, you say you're going to beat it normally, but then you're actually just going to break it to pieces. Good one. No, this time I really mean it. Look, I even went for a Hexa build with a rapier. It's the most normal thing ever. So, with all that said, let's get on with it, because just like James Corden's bedsheets, we've got a lot to cover. Ah shit, here we go again. In an appropriate way to start this game, I hold myself into a pit of despair, so just an average Tuesday then. An old woman fondled my very essence, I turned myself into a big chunky hunk of love, picked Sorcerer as starting class, Bonfire Aesthetic for my gift, and gave myself a perfectly normal name for a perfectly normal playthrough. Perfect. Now, because this is the hardest game ever to be called Dark Souls 2, you're not allowed to use any weapons at all or even attack anything until you've beaten the first boss, the fearsome Last Giant, who has a terrifying repertoire of 5 whole different attacks. And I definitely didn't make any of that up for the sake of content, but fortunately, much like Sonic the Hedgehog, DS2 is a game all about collecting rings, which I guess is why it's called Elden Ring. So I suppose the only way I would be able to down this deadly foe would be through the twin powers of friendship and a couple of circular finger boys. Here's how. Firstly, I headed to the Forest of Fallen Giants, making sure to pick up every consumable soul I could, as well as the buckler shield. Bought a couple of firebombs from Melentia shopkeeper of Mikola, stole a delusional man's house keys, died a little, both inside and out, but it's fine. Opened everything up and returned to Majula to steal all of Kael's earthly possessions. Next, I moved on to hides to grab more items on the way, popped some souls and boosted my endurance, because we do be doing a little running. Maybe this way? No, that's stupid. It's definitely back this way. Ah, there it is. Okay, confession time. I was counting on also getting the souls from killing Pursuer, as well as his consumable soul. But I didn't do it quite right, so I had to resort to joining the company of champions, and then using the ballistas to repeatedly kill this poor sod. Because remember, no weapons allowed, yeah? Once I hit 12,000 souls, I bought the Fragrant Branch from Melentia, which also triggered her into giving me the covetous Silver Serpent Ring, and I was ready for the next step of my journey. Now that I had a branch, I could speak to the branch manager, who offered me some coffee. My milkshake brought all the boys to the yard, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't milkshake at all, you tricked us, and picked up the old Sun Ring and the Chloranthy Ring from the vape zone. Next stop, hides. Excuse me lad, just coming through, don't mind me. With my newfound disposable income, I levelled up to hit 15 intelligence, spent 15k on random crap with Maulin, and burned my bonfire ascetic. Putting Majula into New Game Plus after spending this much in the shop unlocks the butterfly set for sale. So I bought myself a party skirt because I had a party to attend later. Sprinted through No Man's Wharf to pick up another Fragrant Branch, which I used to access this chest in Shaded Ruins containing the repair sorcery, and returned to the forest to make friends and influence people. Now, the old Sun Ring I picked up earlier has a very fun effect where after taking a certain amount of damage, it can trigger a random explosion, which is perfect if you're not actually allowed to hit anything. It's not the only ring that can do counter damage, but for the other one, Pate would sadly have to be turned into pate. Sorry Peter Serafinowicz, big fan of your work. After levelling up using the rest of the souls I'd gathered, it was time to take my rings of power and shove them right up Sauron's butthole. It went a bit like this. With the last giant dead, I could finally use... the game could finally let me use a weapon. A crappy one will do. Pit time next, and usually you'd be looking to buy the Silver Cat ring to survive the drop down. But that's kinda pricey, so good thing you can lure Depression Dave over here to the pit and parry him on the edge to survive the fall. Well, damn. Fine then, I'll buy your overpriced ring, you cute lovable little rip-off merchant, aww. While here, I also grabbed the short bow from the blacksmiths, because even though I plan to go down the Hexa route, Dark Orb has less range than the Rock's acting, and it's always good to have the option in this game. I stopped off in the Grave of Saints to collect the Whisper of Despair hex, continued to the gutter to grab the Bone Dust, headed into Huntsman's Copse for more good loot, got invaded by Forlorn because why the hell wouldn't I be, and took a first-class flight on Pursuer Airways to access the Bastille, where I collected another branch and met Lucatil, the love of my life, the stars to my sky, the beating heart of my... Bro, do you mind? We're trying to have a moment here. Macduff was as crazy as ever, so I stole all his supplies, and it was finally time to stop messing around, because I had me a party to go to. Outfit time! Meh, too fancy. This'll do. Excuse me, my good man. Where's the party? Fine, don't answer then. Is it over here? Guess not. Let's try this again. I said, where is the goddamn party? This way? Better be this way, I swear to God, I will... Okay, it's this way. Good. Thanks, you were very helpful.
You're welcome, anytime.
Alright, hold up. Now, you'll be seeing that one quite a bit. So, here's the science in case you don't know. The butterfly skirt isn't just the height of fashion. It has a unique ability that lets you jump without running. And, by performing a jump and a riposte at the exact same time on a parried enemy, you can enter a glitch state whereby you'll float for 28 seconds. To pull this off, it really helps to map your jump to your roll button temporarily. And then, you need to parry an enemy, move slightly to the right, and then push forwards and press R1 and your jump button at the exact same time. This is the trickiest bit, so it's worth practicing the inputs first before attempting the skip, because it can feel like you're inputting correctly even if you're not. This is what it should look like if you hit them both together. Now, go forth and butterfly. Kill me now. Being hollow allows you to trigger Navlan's quest, in which he asks you to murder 4 NPCs and bring him proof of their deaths. Of course, I would never do that. But fortunately, there are alternative ways of obtaining the items in question. That could wait for now though, because I was still late for the party. Lighting one of these beacons in Aldia's Keep will summon a friendly butler who will show you the way. What's that you say? It's over here? Just keep running around, you can't miss it. Very kind of you. Thanks. Hey there, shorty. I collected plenty of good items and materials from both the Airy and the Dragon Shrine, and headed up to meet the ancient dragon to get the Ashen Mist Heart. Excuse me, coming through. No, I'm not fighting him with an unupgraded dagger. Sorry. I returned to Aldia's Keep to kill this guy with a surprisingly familiar sounding name, and to collect a bright bug. Then, for no particular reason except boredom, I returned to the gutter to light all 50 torches that spawn in the gutter denizen invader, before using force to cheese her off a ledge for some new fashion. Which is important because this dress gives me an absolute dump truck for some reason. My princess was in another castle, so you know I had to do it to them. Pro tip, try not to poison important NPCs while you're doing this, yeah? With a massive total of one whole boss killed legitimately, I was clearly approaching the end game, and while my unupgraded dagger was still putting in some surprisingly good work, I would need more bang for my buck to complete my quest. Firstly, I hit 20 Intim Faith to get the Hexer outfit and Sunset Staff from Felkin. This is the best staff for hexes, and the perfect accompaniment to Dark Orb, aka the "this game is easy as piss" spell. After catching up with the homie in No Man's Wharf, who was all like, "Mask on, fuck it, mask off," I took out the giants in the Gulch for the Forgotten Key, and spoke to Grandel in all his locations to join the Pilgrims of Dark Covenant. Jesus, can you keep the noise down upstairs? I'm trying to have a conversation here. Finally, I freed Ornifex from the ruins. Mom, is it my turn on the Xbox yet? So, I kinda messed up. See, I would need some holy water urns for what was to come, but I accidentally used the ones I had picked up already. Luckily, Targrey sells them if you give him a token of fidelity, which you can find in Huntsman's Copse. But less luckily, you need to beat a boss to actually reach him, and we don't do that here. Oh well, Parry Walk of Shame time it is then. Once I was done with him as a merchant, I killed him for his outfit, because being parried by a fat man in a dress is his ultimate challenge. Now I had the Ashen Mist Heart, I could tackle the giant memories. Not much to say about the first two, although you might not know about this semi-secret room that you can access by breaking this crane and then dropping down, which I personally think is a cool little detail. But of course, the third memory can only be accessed by obtaining the King's Ring. Or just doing this. Giant Lord is obviously one of the hardest bosses in the game, and there is no way I could take him out by just, I don't know, dodging his attacks and hitting him. So, we need to resort to the ultimate in cheese. Firstly, I bought plenty of lightning arrows from Wellager. Now, lightning arrows in this game have a strange quirk. Unlike every other arrow, they don't actually fly in an arc, which means they don't suffer the same drop-off penalties as other arrows. Next, I grabbed the Hawk Ring from the Salamander Pit in the forest. Sorry, don't mind me. Carry on. So, here's how it goes. Step 1. Stand here. Step 2. Shoot. Yeah, that's it.
We have little to offer, except perhaps these.
You sure about that, Millibeth? Here's my number, call me. The party was so close I could almost taste the canapes. So it was time for one more party walk all the way to the Throne of Want and the game's final boss. First though, the minor irritation of a poorly balanced duo boss fight. Guess we need to even those odds. Run towards Defender as soon as you enter and turn left when you get here to bait out an attack. Run to this corner, shield up and wait for the Watcher to approach. Bait out this combo and go past after the first hit. Watch them fall off like an absolute clown. Finally, some good fucking fighting. Okay, guess I'll go first then? You can be the big spoon, and I'll be the little spoon. Well, there it is. After a quick outfit change to look my best in the final cutscene, the end credits rolled for about 7 hours, and I returned to Majula triumphantly, having beaten Dark Souls 2 normally. Now, I guess we should go and tackle the other 36 optional bosses or something. More science. Here's how the Nash freeze actually works. Firstly, this can only be done the first time you reach the Nashandra fight, as it relies on killing the duo beforehand. So back up your save if you want to try this. As soon as you kill Defender, stand here where these 3 missing tiles are, zoom your binoculars in, and line up the U from the word earn with the corner of this tile on the wall. As soon as the rewards text box disappears, immediately roll forward once, push forwards to break out of the roll animation faster, and spam to throw holy water urns, whilst also spamming the button to skip the cutscene straight away. If timed right, the holy water urn should hit at the same moment Nash spawns in, causing her to freeze. To get this to work, I needed exactly 90 agility and 40% equip load, and it still has to be pretty much frame perfect. So, hours of fun to practice.
Seek souls. Larger, more powerful souls.
Wow, okay then. Now that the tedious business of finishing the game was out of the way, I could actually have some fun. First up, the Skeleton Lords. For this, I would need the Dead Again Hex, which can be farmed off the worms in Black Gulch, and something blunt that wasn't my tongue. Apply tea tree oil for extra tingle, and it was time to bonk the boss. Once the main trio were dead, I took out some of the horde, and then it was time for some fun. Because Dead Again turns corpses into explosives, So you can use your enemies to destroy your enemies. How poetic. With the Lords dethroned, I moved onwards to Harvest Valley to meet up with Cloanne, who only has one thing to provide, and we all know what that is. Heh. Yep, it's the Soul Appease miracle. Get your mind out of the gutter. This is mainly fun because you can blitz through the Royal Rat Vanguard fight with it. So, that's nice.
I had an older brother. We learned to fence together. He became the most decorated swordsman in all of Mirror.
Okay, look, I'm not sure now is a good time to bring this up, but... yeah. There's not much to say about Covetous Demon, so I won't. I entered Earthen Peak proper, met a pregnant man, I'm not judging, and burned this city to the ground. I could finally buy Gilligan's Ladder miniature, which meant I now had all the items I needed for Navlan, who rewarded me with Forbidden Sun and Unleash Magic, as well as unlocking him as a vendor. Mither came and went, and even with a +0 dagger, was about as challenging as eating toast. We don't talk about the elevator, and it was Iron Keep time. Slow and steady, Baron. Slow and steady. Yes. I wasn't actually here for the bosses yet. I just needed a little something from Belfry Soul for now.
The ultimate guide to beating Scorpioness Nachka.
Parry her initial spell to assert dominance. Bait out the tail slam. Get up, get on up. Now that I had enough levels, I could focus on my Hexa build for a while. So, I upgraded my Sunset Staff, took out Magus and Congregation in a suitable fashion, and hooked up with Ornifex again to make the Chime of Want, which is one of the best chimes for hexes, especially when dark infused. Hey, Ornifex! Say something funny! Ha! Love this little gal. Onwards to Spider Mommy DS2 edition, and not much to say here. Torch up to keep the babies at bay, and then completely confuse her by constantly running between her two heads because she's not very bright. Aww. Next, I introduced the Flexile Sentry to the delights of sparkling water and progressed to the Bastille, where I unpetrified Strayed and bought the Lingering Flame Pyromancy. With one primal bonfire out of the way, it was the perfect time for some DLC action. And since I had reached the soul memory to open the Shrine of Winter now, I decided to hit up the ski slopes. And that's when I hit a wall. See, because Dark Souls 2 is the most difficult game ever made, they put in the ultimate challenge. A completely invisible boss in a snowstorm. Thanks, fake Miyazaki. But it's okay, because I had a plan. An exceedingly stupid one, but still, hear me out. I returned to Drangleic Castle and made the Twin Dragon Riders bow down before me. I mean, bow down before me. Shit, that joke worked better on paper. So, I could obtain Gower's Ring of Protection and the Firestorm Pyromancy. So, here is...
The ultimate guide to killing invisible lava with pyromancies.
Yeah. Even though you can see her footsteps sometimes, she can leap a long way to grab you. Gower's Ring has poor durability, and if it breaks, it's basically goodnight. And she also has a really annoying habit of somehow appearing on the opposite side of you to where she was 2 seconds before. Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. It was clear I needed more power to best Ava. So, I grabbed the Lion Mage gear and clear Bluestone Ring from Shaded Woods to speed up my casting, disposed of the Rotten by blowing him up with claymores and then beating him to death with a tambourine, and entered Shulva. Wake up, dummy, we've got an underground city to poison. The main reason I was here was to get the promised Walk of Peace hex, though I'll never say no to Flynn's ring as well, because I wanted to see if it helped to stop Ava jumping around so much. There was one more thing I could try. Perhaps Ava would be easier to see without the snowstorm. Pal, come here a sec, will ya? Yep, just like that. Yep, that's right. I'm the man. Now say my name.
Baron.
Thanks. Okay, here is...
The real ultimate guide to killing invisible lava with pyromancers, but without the snowstorm.
At this point, there was only one thing I could do. Go away and train harder to become the best. I even considered a motivational montage sequence set to a soundtrack of Survivor's 1980s classic Eye of the Tiger, but instead settled for taking out my frustrations by bonking Smelter Demon to death, before facing up to the old Iron King, a big naked horny guy who just wants to fist you into his hole. No worries, two can play at that game. So, let's say you want to fight the gargoyles, but don't want to fight the ruined sentinels? Here's how to skip the fight. Party frock time again in this courtyard. Do the old floating shuffle into the building, go up this ladder here, drop off, attack in the opposite direction to turn round, and then you can just run out of the window and onto the roof. Easy peasy. I tested out version 1 of my new prototype bell build on the Gargs. It's doing a bit too much damage. I'll have to work on lowering that. And it was time for my final primal bonfire boss, the Lost Sinner.
Foot on a lift. Why does it exist as it goes round and 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 round and...
Okay then. Fun fact about this boss, you can parry her, but she'll tend to leap away immediately afterwards. However, if you get 3 parries in a row, this seems to consistently stagger her for a couple of seconds. Who knew Millennia was in this game, eh? My guy, you're a bit late. I laid down a few spicy surprises to quickly get the Royal Rat Authority out of the way, treated myself to some protein bars as a reward, and headed on to the Undead Purgatory to take out the chariot. Piss off. Whilst this fight is a fun concept, the skellies everywhere are just annoying. So, I found myself a quiet spot out of the way with the help of one of my new friends, dropped a few grenades, and watched as the chariot plummeted into the void. I said, plummeted into the void. That's better. Next on my list was Broom Tower, a perfect place for a brush with death. Yep, that was a broom brush joke. I'm here all week. People rave about this DLC, but my god, this room is absolute butt cheeks. Good thing you can just skip it then. Stand here, zoom in with a bow at this pillar, shuffle slightly right until it's almost hidden, but not quite, aim down to this spot here, backstep, run and yeet yourself off the edge and do a plunging attack. Never in doubt. Now, go to the edge and aim again so these chains line up exactly like this. Backstep and immediately running jump off the edge, taking your hands off the inputs after you jump. Ta-da! This DLC has some of the best bosses in the game, so it was only appropriate that I killed the crappy one first. Iron Passage might be a massive pain, but the Yearn spell trivialises it, which is nice. Oi! Mate, your boss run is shit! Cool Ranch Smelter is a boss that causes some people problems because his timings are different to the red version. But that's no issue for me, since I don't know the other one's timings either. I'll be honest, I decided to kill him by pelting him with dung pies for the memes. But guess what? This is actually an incredibly effective way of killing him. Who knew? The main reason I did this was to get the Pharos mask. See, this little fella here is a bright bug, and taking one boosts your damage and defense for 2 whole minutes. But here's the thing. If you use a bright bug while being wet, and then quit out to the main menu, when you load back in, you'll have an infinite bright bug until you reload, warp, or die. And since the Pharos mask is the Hitachi magic wand of headgear, because it makes you wet straight away, well, I'll let you do the maths. Doing things in a logical order? Not me, mate. Here is
The ultimate guide on how to looking glass night.
Don't worry guys, I got this. Or not. I'm sure I can do some party frock shenanigans though. Yeah, okay, I'll actually play your damn game then, you bunch of joyless fun vampires. In keeping for one of the hardest areas of the game, the Shrine of Amana has one of the hardest bosses, the Crazy Frog. Clearly, mere skill and weapons alone would not be enough. I would need to go through an unnecessarily large number of steps to defeat this monster. Firstly, I return to Grandal to clear out the 3 chasms of old, and to take on Dark Lurker. Fun fact, you can prevent Dark Lurker from casting by using the Profound Still Hex, and if you wear the Priestess headgear that you can farm from Shulva, the Hex won't affect you as well. It doesn't last very long, so it's not actually that useful here, but Dark Lurker is pretty weak to pyromancies, and some carefully timed casts, just as the boss splits in 2, can actually finish this off very quickly. Defeating Dark Lurker rewards you with the most powerful Hex in the game, Big Bertha's Ballistic Ballbuster. This Hex trades all souls in your possession for damage, but the damage maxes out at 5,000 souls. So make sure you don't blow your load prematurely. So, how much damage can this do? Let's use a test subject. Not bad, but we can do more. Casting Unleash Magic on yourself and equipping all relevant damage buffs, you can bump this up a fair bit. Thing is, old Dragon Slayer is resistant to Dark, so he's probably not the best opponent to test this on. Yeah, that works. Good night, Snoop Froggy Frog. It's been emotional. Bro, seriously, give it up already. Into the Undead Crypt next, which is always a fun time. In case you didn't know, lighting this torch below the shortcut bridge will spawn in a number of red invaders who drop pieces of the Insolence set. They spawn in some pretty troll places though. In here, dude? Really? One of my favourite bosses of the base game awaited me at the end of the area. Velstadt, an absolute specimen who tries to paint the floor with you using a gigantic bell. Good thing I have a bell too. Thanks for that, Lycia. So, here is
The ultimate guide to punching Velstadt to death with a bell without taking any damage.
I'm not running out of ideas, honestly. Since I had 5 giant souls already, because I'd killed Ancient Dragon earlier using the tried and true strat of standing between these 2 toes and letting rip unless he does the stomp, but forgot to mention it in my script, and now I'm being too lazy to go back and insert it into the right place, I decided to YOLO it with Vendrick, who is the least scary boss in the game, as long as you just stand behind his left leg the whole time. Ooh, terrifying. Bell build 2 OP, please nerf. From here on in, it was basically boss rush time, so I decided to have some fun. Firstly, I respec'd into enough points to use the Bone Fist, for no other reason than it has the coolest moveset in the entire game. Use with caution. Then, I returned to Shulva, where I got invaded by Jester Thomas, who was probably the worst person to test this weapon out on, scooted through Jurassic Park, and headed down to Kung Fu kick Ilana in the chops. Oh boy, I hope she just summoned skellies or pigs! Nope. I got Velstadt 3 times in one fight. Thanks. I then used Ilana's halberd to make swift work of Sin, and I'd say more about this boss fight if I didn't actually really dislike this boss. Sorry, bad hitbox enjoyers. I now had my first crown, which was cool and all, but the real reason I wanted the halberd was so I could go and do this. Back to the broom cupboard next, and oh good, another shit show room with a lever. Good thing you can skip this one too, and it's also really easy. Stand here near this darker tile and do a running jump and plunge onto this statue's head. Then just jump down again. At the bottom lies one of the best and hardest bosses in the game, the Fume Knight, and many players seem to struggle with his second phase in particular. Here's the fun thing though, he really hates you drinking Estus. It makes him irrationally angry, so as long as you keep taking regular sips of Estus while behind him so you're safe, he'll be so damn furious at your lack of respect for him that he'll completely forget to engage fire mode. God, I remember when I used to think this boss was actually quite difficult. On a little side note, you may know that if you wear Velstat's helm, this makes Fume Knight really angry and he'll instantly go into phase 2. So, in the interests of science, what would happen if you put Velstat's helm on and then immediately drunk an Estus during the fight? Well, yeah, this happens. He apparently cares a lot more about the helm than the Estus, so now you know. Now, you might well have seen quite a few of these tricks in other videos or speedruns, but here's one you might not have ever seen. Soralon is an incredible opponent, his speed and reach causing problems for many players. But he does actually have one weakness. This column. See, by baiting out attacks to get him to move to this area of the room, and then moving to this corner, you can get him to completely lose track of where you are and stop altogether. Moving or staggering him will break him out of this. But if you take a bow, zoom in, shoot one arrow only and then wait for this animation to finish before shooting another arrow, you can kill him without him ever aggroing onto you. Which is nice if you're a massive puss, but everyone would just bitch at me in the comments if I didn't actually do the fight hitless to get the seppuku ending. So, good thing I backed my save up. Oh no! Maldron, please don't run away down there into that area full of enemies. I don't know how I'll possibly kill you down there. Oops. After 5 chapters of stalling, I really couldn't put it off any longer, and I now felt I had enough supplies and levels to go for it. So, for the last, final, conclusive, decisive, and never again to be repeated time, thanks thesaurus.com, here is
the real ultimate guide to killing invisible lava with pyromancers, but without the snowstorm.
Huh, what's this? Well, shit. Right, let's finish this. Hexes for absolute losers. 99 strength and a naked fat man with a chicken drumstick or nothing. Whee! Whee! Ruined Sentinels? More like ruined Sentinels, am I right? Yeah? Finally, it was time for my favourite boss fight to round things off. First up, spank the gank, and then I was ready to test out my newest build. I call this one the Doors of Pharos. The king died as honourable a death as you can muster after being slapped silly by some double doors. I claimed my last crown and the run was over. I had beaten Dark Souls 2 normally. Nope, never heard of the Twin Kitties, you must be thinking of a different game. I'll leave you with one more fun tidbit though. Now, you might know that if you lead one of the Brightstone pigs all the way down to the spider room before Freya, it will dig up the pickaxe weapon for you from this patch of mushrooms in the ground. But, did you know that if you lead the Majula pigs into this building, you can find a free outfit? Yeah.